Horrible way to start a video, sorry. Um, I'm in a different room at the moment. I'm downstairs this time. Yeah, today we're going to be looking at a proofreading worksheet from the Life Changing Tuition English book. We've done a few comprehensions now. Divert from that briefly. Have a look at some of the proofreading, the principles for success of which they do, reduce to quite simple maxims, to quite simple rules. Um, Experience and further reading is crucial for proofreading to, assimilate yourself, familiarize yourself with sentence structure, various and alternating sentence structure, syntax order, sort of word order, use punctuation, correct tenses, the correct conjugations of verbs, and the correct use of adverbs, pronouns, nouns, auxiliary verbs, reflexive, verbs. All of these different technical things that are addressed throughout the early sections of the Life Changing Tuition English book. You just need to be familiar with English. You need to read more, recognise more. That way you can deduce more when you come to the questions. That way you will be able to recognise words that might be trickier to spell, common mistakes grammatically and in terms of spelling, as mentioned. Read the questions you get with proofreading. It sounds like such a simple concept, but the amount of help it will give you by just simply reading back the sentences to see if they sound right, if they make sense as you utter them. When it comes to punctuation, it's about the pace of a sentence. You can hear if something's wrong, if there should be something to punctuate the sentence, to break it up, whether there should be a pause, whether the rhythm doesn't work, all of these things. And then spelling, phonetically will help you. Just say it to yourself. Is there anything missing in there sound-wise? You may recognise spellings from wider reading, of course, as I've said. Use words that you already know to help you spell unfamiliar words. Follow the rules you see in other words. Translate them over to trickier instances. Use everything you learn in the wild, so to speak, from your reading, from working on comprehensions. Wherever you see written words, this is where proofreading comes in. Proofreading is such a useful skill because this, it's something you will carry with you for the rest of your life, because it's important whenever you get any sort of document or any sort of thing that you need to analyse, that you need to find the correct information in. Even if you're sending an email to someone, proofread your emails, proofread your own writing, find the errors. Incredibly useful skill. We've done our basic rundown. Let's have a look at some questions. So, your spelling. Here we've got some spelling stuff. Spelling questions, pardon me. On each question there's one error. If there is no error, it's E. The option is E. Let's have a look at the first one. The tennis tournament was dominated by superior players from the local county. Now, immediately, I see the issue here, because I know, through my own experience, obviously, how the word should be spelled. Tournament. Something glaring at me in tournament. It's not tournament. It's tournament. Tournament. So I know that the answer has to be A here. That's because tournament should have a U after the O. I received immediately, something's glaring at me immediately in A. I received, with a rule that is true sometimes, not always, so don't use it, religiously. But we have I before E, except after C, which is one of these proverbs, right? Not always accurate, so please do not base your spelling entirely off of these phrases. But in this case it is. It should be R-E-C-E I-V-E-D. Swap the two vowels in the middle around there. Should be A. Your third question. The telephone company pursued immediately. If the more you read, the more you do these questions, the more obvious it will become. Pursued. That says pursued. To get a U sound, commonly you need another vowel with the letter U, and in this case it's P-U-R-S-U-E-D. Right. Question 4. Ollie sought permission immediately. Again, I can see the problem. Permission. At the moment it's permission. Permission needs two S's. Two S's there. 5. Julia regretted delaying her annual expedition to Norway. Now this is the first one for me. You may look at regretted doesn't need two T's. Yes it does. Annual doesn't need two N's. Yes it does. Expedition, is the T correct before the I-O-N? Yes it is. There's no error. That's the first one where we've got no errors whatsoever. Question 5. Question 6. Attendance at the critical and compulsory secret meeting was mandatory. Excuse me, once it starts you can't stop them. Attendance at the critical and compulsory secret meeting was mandatory. Critical, of the utmost importance. Compulsory, necessary. You have to do it. If something is compulsory, you have to do it. This is not how you spell compulsory. This is compulsory. Spellings and things. In fact, the majority of proofreading questions they will try to catch you out. Compulsory could be correct because it is an uri, right? But this is more. This would be wrong. Compulsory. It's not how we spell that. It's compulsory. C-O-M-P-U-L-S. First mistake. E-R-I. It says E-R-I. Well, it should be. Excuse me. C-O-M-P-U-L-S-O-O-I. Compulsory. Compulse. Not compulse. What's wrong with me? Compulse. Not compulse. Yeah? Has to be B there. 7. Ezra's new puppy was not only adorable but also obedient, enthusiastic, and playful. Now, very often when a word ends in, a suffix like full, which traditionally has got two L's at the end of it, when you attach it, you get a compound word. You attach it to another word to make a new word, playful. Very often you remove one of the L's. So the answer here is D. Playful should end with just the one L. Sam enjoyed spending time in the countryside and, well, this is more of an obvious one. You don't climb a mountain, you climb a mountain. The answer should be D. We get a silent B in the word climbing, which actually follows an M. So it should be C-L-I-M-B. I-N-G. Consistent hard work has led to significant improvements. Led is such a frustrating word. Led and lead. Led and lead. Excuse me. Lead is the metal is L-E-A-D. To lead is L-E-A-D. A lead, something that you attach an animal to when you go for a walk, is L-E-A-D. To be led, not the metal. To be led, past tense, or taken somewhere, is L-E-D. If you were led in the past tense, it's L-E-D. So this is actually correct. The answer for 9 is E. A few more spelling questions here. Acting on a friend's recommendations, well, immediately I know recommendation should have two M's, so it has to be B there. I hope you recognise that. Pause this as I'm going through these, have a look at them yourselves, and then listen to me talk about them. 2. The experience was thoroughly enjoyable, and Michael was especially delighted. Well, thoroughly. Thoroughly, or thoroughly? Thoroughly. The O-U-G-H is one of the most notorious sounds in the English language. It can sound so many different ways. Thoroughly, like an so here the mistake is B. It should be T-H-O-R-O-U-G-H-O-I. It can sound like as in trough, off. a trough that pigs eat out of. It can sound like uff, as in luff, bruh. The options are endless. It's a pesky sound. Right, 3. Witnessing the immediately leopards. No, leopards, leopards. Leopards should be A there for 3. 4. Joe, Micah's brother, became alarmed when a young chimpanzee ran off with his handkerchief. Well, you might be alarmed by the word chimpanzee because, we don't often see that in its full length, really. It's often shortened to chimp, but that's actually correct, chimpanzee. And handkerchief, the D becomes almost silent in handkerchief, doesn't it? You just sort of get handkerchief. But it is a handkerchief because it's used by your hand. It's for your hand. So that's actually correct. 4 is E. There's nothing wrong with 4. 5. However, a visit to see the elegant, which is actually spelt fine, giraffes with their elongating necks quickly eased his distress. 5 is fine as well. No errors for me there in 5. 6. The siblings couldn't agree on which animal was the most impressive, leading to an argument. There is an error here. Where do you think it is? It should be A, double E, for the E sound on the end of agree, but doesn't need a second G. Does not need a second G. 7. Nevertheless, both of them momentarily set aside their differences. Momentarily needs an arily at the end, so the A is correct. So it should be E for 7. Nothing wrong with that one. And then for 8, we know it's not temporarily. It should be temporarily. Look at the way tarily is spelled here. Rarily. Tarily. You need an I in there. Temporarily. Temporarily. Okay. Best word. When we choose the word that fits the best. So, Levi seizes blank chances to vanish and play football in the park. So this is present tense. Multiple, it's plural. Seizes. It must be plural because if it was singular it would be a chance. Levi seizes this chance to vanish and play football in the park. Not technically wrong, but doesn't sound right. It would be a very strange sentence. Levi seizes this chance to vanish and play football in the park. Sounds like a documentary. Or a live track, in your mind as you're thinking about what you're going to do right now. I would say C has to be correct here. Levi seizes every chance to vanish and play football in the park. That makes sense as a sentence as well. You would say that sentence if it was about someone doing something regularly. If Levi was just vanishing off to do it once, it wouldn't be as noteworthy. Question 2. Anna poured the melted chocolate. Well, it's entering cake batter. It's going I've just given it away there, into the object, into the cake batter, so it has to be D. 3. My package arrived blank than I anticipated. Well, let's have a look here. More quickly. Doesn't make sense. Excuse me, I've got that wrong. That's why I paused, I was confused. My package arrived more quickly than I anticipated. Is the most correct out of all of them. More fast, wrong. Fastest. My package arrived fastest than I anticipated. This is a superlative because it ends with EST. Doesn't make sense. More quicker. You don't need quicker and more. You either have the comparative of ER at the end or more quick. Basically, more quickly, for instance. Not more quick, more quickly. My package arrived more quick than I anticipated. It's more quickly. Right. You need to add the ly on the end to complete the more version of the comparative. ER is an isolated comparative. You don't need more with it. I think an even better option for this would be my package arrived quicker than I anticipated. Just the comparative of quicker on its own, I think, would be the best choice. But the answer is A for 3. 4. Individuals possess diverse, weaknesses is a plural, so we are also looking for a plural here. And there's only one, strengths. Has to be C for 4. 5. Neither my brother. No, neither. Neither. It's either, but a negative because you get the N at the start of it. Neither. When you get either, you often get either, blah, 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 blank, or, either or. When it's made negative, you're going to get neither. Add the N to the start. Nor. Neither nor. 5 has to be B. Our departure was scheduled for. Our departure was scheduled for, but we finished eating. The first bit doesn't end. Our departure was scheduled for hasn't got a conclusion to it. Our departure was scheduled for until, no. Our departure was scheduled for whether, no. Our departure was scheduled for or we finished eating, no. You have to finish this first clause. You have to connect it on to the end. Our departure was scheduled for once we finished eating. It still makes sense. It's been scheduled for once the eating has finished, right? That does make sense. It has to be E there for 6. 7. The elderly cat, excuse me. 7. The elderly cat, blank, displayed a slight limp, except in the sunshine. Right, so cats are not people, they are animals, so it's not about who, or whom, or whose. It's an it, right? So which is grammatically the correct option here. It has to be B. It has to be B for 7. So question 8. Maria took advantage of the opportunity fame that comes. Well, which bits are we hyphenating here? A dash and a hyphen are different. A dash often comes between words. You add on extra information after the dash. The hyphen is a dash that connects words together. So, Maria took advantage of the opportunity that came for fame, opportunity for fame that comes. Well, we know it's once in a lifetime. We know that's what ends the sentence, but which kind? It has to be. Lifetime is one word. So it does not need to be conjoined in any manner. But once in a is hyphenated together to make one word entirely. It has to be C for 8. Once in a lifetime. You see how once in a can combine together to make a phrase? Hyphenate it. Jackson was aware that he blank ran faster in the race. So it's about a race that has been. Right? He's looking back on the race, otherwise he couldn't know that he was meant to run faster. So the woulds and the shall, ignore them. Of is a very common misconception. When you contract could've, should've, would've, it sounds like of at the end, but it's not of, it's a VE, which comes from have, the verb to have. Has to be A for 9. Could have run faster in the race. Bartok, which is the name of a composer, an old composer, from Hungary, I believe, but I might be wrong. Bartok blank in the sidelines and observed the game. Bartok blank in the sidelines and observed the game. For me here, this one is D, sat. Bartok sat in the sidelines and observed the game. We know it's sat and not sit because observed is in the past tense. So we need to match the tenses. Sat is also in the past tense. The correct form, not sitted. Sitted is the wrong form. That's not a word at all. 11. He mentioned, I work hard, I'll be able to play for the team one day. So this looks like the second half of a hypothetical for me. And by hypothetical we mean something that could happen if something happens. Has to be C for 11. Complete the hypothetical. If I do this, then this happens. If I do this, then this happens. That's the form it takes. 12. He contemplated the posters of players. Well, they're on the walls, but if we're talking about his bedroom, they have to be in the bedroom, surely. It's about them being contained within the bedroom. Has to be D for that one. 13. He blank about whom they admired. Again, past participle. Notice the ED on the end. We know what tense we're in. Match it. Wondered. Wondered. Has to be A there. 14. He blank at the thought of becoming a part of the team. So, is this thought happening right now? Possibly. It would not make sense. But, what makes even more sense is C for 14. He smiled at the thought of becoming a part of the team. We see how that sounds. When I talk about reading them to yourself, put in the words, see if it sounds correct. To me that sounds lovely. He smiled at the thought of becoming a part of the team. 15. He pictures himself joining the team on the field to assist. Assist who? Joining the team. What pronoun are we going to use with the team? It's a group of people. Them. 15 has to be be. So, let's look at 16 punctuation questions. One answer for each line, much like the spelling. 1. The quaint village of Bootles. Well, the village of Bootles. This word order implies that Bootles is the name of the village, like we'd say the city of London, right? The village of Bootles. And a place name is a proper noun, which means it needs a capital letter. So, the error here is B. Your answer for number 1 is B, because Bootles doesn't have the capital letter it needs. No, implored the hapless salesman. Right. When you have sentence-ending punctuation contained within inverted commas or speech marks, it doesn't end the sentence. The sentence continues on until ended properly outside of those inverted commas, with a full stop, for example, here, after salesman. So we know, knowing that implored doesn't actually need a capital letter. So the error is an A for number 2. 3. Kindly arrive at Boston Station, platform 1, 10 minutes before departure. Now, you might argue that a comma could go after the brackets for rhythmic purposes, but technically there's nothing wrong with that sentence for 3. 3 is fine. 4. To reach that town, you still need to travel north for many miles, responded Ian. Now, the north is not technically a place. It is a direction, which means it's not a proper noun. It doesn't actually need that capital N. So the error is in C. Mistaken capitalization. 5. Berlin, full of artists, musicians, writers and designers, is a vibrant and creative city. So, the commas, and study the use of them here. The commas. Berlin, comma, full of artists, musicians, writers and designers, is a vibrant and creative city. Technically there's nothing wrong with that sentence. E is a fine answer for 5. But notice the use of the commas, please. Berlin, comma, and then what follows is information about Berlin, separated by the comma. Full of artists, start of a list, comma, musicians, comma, writer, and designers. Right, commas used in the list there. We see the versatility of the comma. 6. Do you enjoy working with your hands and constructing things? If so, please get in touch. Now, the word so here, the nature of the word so would ask for a comma to follow it. So, C is the answer. You need a comma after so. Say it to yourself. If so, please get in touch. Or, if so, please get in touch. You see how the hypothetical works with a comma? Even better. 7. The doctor, peering over the rim of his glasses, bellowed, "Please enter quickly. Please enter quickly." Now, in 7, I would say you don't necessarily need a capitalized P here, because it's in the middle of a sentence. Also, is the exclamation mark meant for inside the speech or outside the speech? I think this is the more glaring issue. The sentence, the doctor peering over the rim of his glasses bellowed, "Please enter quickly," is not said shouting. That would be ridiculous. But "please enter quickly" is said with a shout. This exclamation mark needs to be inside the speech mark, not outside of it, to indicate that the speech is being shouted, not the sentence. That's the error. Has to be D. 8. Wayne supported his team through the highs and lows. Now, immediately, the lows don't belong to anyone. They don't need an apostrophe. The answer for 8 should be C. 9. One morning, Sophia's mum inquired, "Could you check if we've received any post?" Now, for me, that sounds like a question. Where's your question mark? Answer has to be D for 9. 10. In response, Sophia hurried into the hall and gathered a stack of letters. 2 bills, a catalogue. Now, this one, I'm just checking my notes, is quite an easy one to miss, but remember I said they try and catch you out. Following letters, it's not a colon, it's a semicolon. A semicolon, which is a dot above and then a comma at the bottom, is used for separating a clause which could act, it feels a bit between a clause and a sentence. That's why you get the full stop and the comma at the same time. The clause that has that at the end of it could be a clause, could be a sentence, it's somewhere in the middle. You can see it connecting to a further clause rather than being a complete ending. But instead, in this instance, because what follows is a list, it shouldn't be a semicolon, it should be a colon, your two dots, which normally open a list, indicate that a list is coming. So that's your error there. The answer for 10 is B. 11. Sophia couldn't conceal her curiosity about the contents. Couldn't is a contraction. You get rid of the O out of not and then attach it to could. You need an apostrophe to indicate a letter has been removed between the N and the T. 12. Examining the envelope's address, her mum mused, I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what this is. So, let's have a look. Her mum mused. Why have I written that? Oh, I see. Right. Yep. They're trying to catch you out. There's nothing that ends this. You need a comma, a semicolon, a full stop or something. They're trying to catch you out. I have no idea what this is. And then you have nothing after that speech mark. They're trying to catch you out. You see, really simple things, very easy to miss. Even I miss them. Also, for the record, this is an Americanization. We all know that. It should be M-U-M here, not M-O-M in the UK. 13. It could either be a card from a distant relative we haven't heard from in years, or... Notice the pause I took there. It could either be a card from a distant relative we haven't heard from in years, or, you see, or is a turning point. We're going on to something different now. You need a comma around here, and there isn't one, so your answer has to be D. 14. Telling us we've won a prize! Exclamation mark inside the speech mark. You'd notice that. Exclaimed Sophia as her mum began to read. Mum spoke correctly in 14 as well. 14 for me is fine. I don't see any issues with 14. I'd put E for 14. 15. Oh, wonderful. It's an invitation to a wedding in December. December. The months are proper nouns. They need capital letters. The answer has to be C. Capital D needed for December. The answer is C. Last one here. Well, that's not nearly as exciting, Sophia complained, rolling her eyes. Now, this full stop indicates an ending point. However, when we get speech, we often say, how it was said in the same sentence. If someone said something, then you go, oh, they sighed, they remarked. That comes before the ultimate full stop. To have a full stop here is wrong. You need a comma. A comma is much more preferable in this instance. Right. So, it's good to get back to some proofreading. Took a bit longer than I anticipated to, but we got through it. I hope that helped. Thank you.